guys, welcome back to my channel. Novice Nurse here. Excuse me for looking kind of janky. I'm about to go to bed, but I wanted to come, and it's like, what time is it? It's like almost midnight. I wanted to tell you about my week before I forgot and before I went to sleep. As you guys know, I started phlebotomy this week in my medical assistant program, and I started my college classes this week, so I look like it, right? So I started phlebotomy, and on Monday we mostly did practicing tourniquets. We were giving out these blue, I don't have mine, I can't find mine right now, but we were giving out these blue rubber tourniquets, and we were practicing on each other, feeling for the vein to prepare us for drawing blood. So we had to feel for the vein, not look for the veins. That was something that our instructor told us to do, and we did that for about Monday, and we started practicing on dummies. So dummy arms that had like felt like real skin or just like rubber, and they had veins inserted into the arm. And so we took real needles, learned how to put them together, how to organize our setup, and we started inserting the needles into the dummy. We would then use the tubes, and we learned the order of tubes for different blood type, for different blood panels and things like that. And we learned how to close the cap when we're done and throw them out in the proper sharps or trash bins. So that was mostly Monday. By Tuesday, we were in the lab mostly doing a lot of practice on the dummies, and then we started working on real people. So our instructors let us draw blood on them first, and then we started drawing blood on each other. I didn't get a chance to, did I draw blood on my instructor? No, I drew blood on one of my classmates first. She had a pretty decent vein, so that was probably a good start for me for my first time, because I was able to draw the blood. And I think going into it, a lot of people, first of all, there was a girl in my class who's never got her blood drawn before. So our teacher picked her out of the bunch to get picked to get her blood drawn, and she started freaking out, started crying, all this stuff, which was pretty understandable being that she's never got her blood drawn before. So it was making everybody really nervous, like, oh my God, like everybody was super nervous. But when it was my turn to draw someone's blood, I kind of just like, all right, I have to focus and get it done. So when I did that, I was able to draw the blood, and when you're able to do something, it gives you a lot of confidence. So when I first did it, I was like, oh, this isn't that bad actually, like at all. So I drew blood a second time, and I was able to get the blood drawn. There were, I think, about 3 people in my class who weren't able to draw blood the first time, which was fine because it allowed them to learn from their mistakes. I have really small veins naturally. It's hereditary. My mother and my grandmother both have very small veins. So they were checking my veins, and they're like, I don't think you'll be a good fit to get your blood drawn. So I'm like, thank God, because I'm not afraid of needles, but who likes getting their blood drawn? Not me. Ended up finding a vessel in this arm, and they wanted to try drawing blood on it. The girl who did it, apparently she is a RN, technically. She's from Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rican RNs, well, basically the licenses from Puerto Rico don't transfer to US licenses, which makes no sense since Puerto Rico is a territory, but whatever. So she has to do the whole process all over again. So she technically is a nurse, so I felt comfortable with her drawing my blood because she's a nurse already. And she drew my blood, it didn't hurt at all, and it was completely fine. Today we drew blood, and I got blood the 3rd time. And there's another girl in my class who's like impossible, like nobody has been able to draw her blood. So I was trying to challenge myself to see if I could do it. I ended up not getting her blood. Her blood is really hard to get. And so right now I only have 3 draws. In order to pass the class, you need 20 draws, and they have to be successful. So between now and the time that I graduate, I have to get 20 draws, which they're gonna make sure that we get those draws, so it's gonna be fine. We're allowed to bring in people to get our sticks in and things like that. So I'm possibly gonna bring my boyfriend in, and other people in the class are going to probably bring their family members or whoever else in. So that's pretty much what this week consists of. Our teachers are like a lot more strict when it comes to phlebotomy, because you're dealing with needles, and you know, in the workforce it's really dangerous to deal with contaminated needles. So they're a lot more strict. You're not allowed to have long nails. There were some girls in the class that had really long nails, and they had to get them cut. You're not allowed to be waving around the needle. Obviously, you wouldn't be waving a needle around, but some of the people in class they'd be holding a needle and talking and moving the needle around. That's not allowed. The teacher will come over and grab you and put your arm on the desk. So they're a lot more strict about just following rules and just being mindful in the lab when it comes to dealing with needles and people's blood. So that was a really cool experience. I actually enjoy phlebotomy. I think it's fun. I think the hardest part about phlebotomy is when you're dealing with someone who has small vessels, and what I learned today with dealing with someone who has really difficult vessels was trying to redirect. So when you go into a vein, and let's say you're not in the vein, in order to not have to get a whole new needle, you have to redirect. So you'll pull out a little bit, not so much that the needle's fully out the skin, but just a little bit so that you can redirect, and it'll redirect it into the vein. I had some trouble with that, mostly because when you don't get the blood, especially if you've been getting blood, you kind of freak out like, wait, there's no blood. So I was like, wait, I don't know what to do now. So I kind of freaked out and I wasn't able to get the blood. So now I know, because I made that mistake, that I need to practice redirecting my needle when I don't get blood, or just pulling back, feeling the vein, feeling where the vein is, and then redirecting into the actual vein. So that's, I think, something I need to work on. So I started classes yesterday, which was Thursday, and at my college, and I'm taking anatomy and physiology. Just to recap, taking anatomy and physiology, lab and lecture, nutrition, and statistics. My lab is online, which I know everyone says, what? How's your lab online? But yeah, it is. So on Wednesday, which is when school actually officially started, I checked my Blackboard to see if any of my teachers sent any syllabuses, syllabi, whatever, and homework, and I kind of wrote down all the things I need to do before class. And my lab, I could not, for the life of me, get my book. And I thought it was just me, or I made a mistake, or I don't know. Long story short, of course, the online lab is having problems, and I'm not able to get access to my book as are many people in my class is not able to access their book. So the homework was postponed, so that's nice. I have nutrition homework, but because class did not start on a Monday, I didn't have nutrition this week. And then because Labor Day is on a Monday, and that's when my class is, I don't have nutrition next week. So my official class doesn't start till the 9th. So she gave us homework to do, chapter 1 and chapter 2 of my book. And I don't have those books with me because 3 of my books I bought online, or are their online books, because they were way cheap, like 4 times cheaper than buying the physical book. And not even just buying, renting too. Like some of the rentals were like $100, like some of the books were like $300, and then you rent it for like $100. I'm only renting it for like a semester. Why am I renting half the price of the, you're gonna end up getting more money for this book in the long run. It doesn't make sense, but whatever. So I decided to rent online books. People were kind of scaring me because they're making it seem like, oh, it's more difficult to read on the computer. It's more difficult to basically get your notes and highlight and things on the computer, but it's very user friendly. You can highlight as you're reading on your computer. It's just, to me, it's not just the same because you're not physically touching it, but it's, I think when you're a millennial, you're kind of like used to working with the old school way, which is how you're taught in grade school, and the new school way, which is everything's on the computer. You're like somewhat bilingual in that aspect, so that you can do both and it's not a problem. So because I'm a millennial, that's kind of how I feel about it. It's not a big deal to read from my computer. So that's that. And then our teachers provided the slides. So like my lecture, my AP lecture, or anatomy and physiology lecture teacher, he provided his slides. So I downloaded them before class. And then when I came to class, which was yesterday, and my class was at 6:30, I was already prepared because I read the slides the night before. And because I've been practicing my note cards, I already have an idea of what anatomy and physiology is about. So just a run through of my day on Thursday. So I had my medical assistant courses in the morning. It starts at 8 o'clock, ends at 1:30. Took a bus to my college, got there around 3 o'clock. My class for statistics starts at 3:30. So got there pretty early. What's funny and cool about going to a campus college, because my first college was a city campus, so everything is more spread out you have to like walk blocks and cross streets and do all this stuff to get to your classes. But I'm actually on a campus. It's literally everything is in a circle. So you're like just walking across the hall almost like to the next class. It's almost like high school outside. It's funny. But anyway, my statistics teacher is really nice. He's funny. I like him. He speaks clearly and in a way I can understand the content. And you can order the book online, but it's math, and math is not my best subject. Even though I would say statistics is different from regular math courses, I just want to be very mindful of statistics because I know I'm not the best at math. So my school offers this math book. This is called Essential Statistics, and this is the loose leaf copy, so it's not bound. And I'm like, how the heck am I gonna do this and not mess up these papers? And my boyfriend suggested to use a binder, which is a good idea. So I'm gonna get a small binder, or I have a small binder, and I'm gonna just put it in the binder to help me with reading the book during class or just at home. So I have to read chapter 1 and chapter 2 of this book, and I think we have modules online. I have to double check and look, but I believe we have online modules to do. It's not homework, but it's more so to help us make sure we understand the content, which is another thing a lot of my teachers kept saying, like, oh, I don't give homework, I don't give homework. But I feel like they're saying that because they don't want to have to grade it. That's kind of like how they're wording it. Like, oh, well, you know, if I give homework, I have to grade it. I'm not trying to grade it. I don't have time for that. But they really do give you homework, which is reading and online modules, basically to help you understand it. And really, it's all to help prepare you for their exam. That's going to be at the end of the quarter of the semester. So yeah, so this is called Essential Statistics by William Navidi. I had to read chapter 1 and chapter 2, and so I'm gonna do that for homework, and that was that. A lot of the kids in my class, I can tell they're young, like undergrad young, I mean, meaning like they're between 18 and 22, which is not a problem. I feel like I don't fit in, but I feel like I physically fit in because I don't look like I'm almost 30. So it's okay. And even if I did, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just nice to know that you kind of like, no one's looking at you like, oh, that's the lady that probably has a job already and 3 kids. So anyway, the class after that is Anatomy and Physiology lecture. That class doesn't start till 6:30, but I, for some reason, thought I started at 6. I spent the whole, so my class for statistics ended at 4:50. So I had about an hour, and I thought I had an hour and 10 minutes to get my stuff done for my lab class, because I was trying to figure out the book situation with that. And I also wanted to rent my math book and rent my calculator. So I got a TI-83. I wanted the TI-84, but they didn't have it. So I got the TI-83. I'm renting this. And I think I'm renting this. Probably not. I'm probably buying. I probably bought this. I don't know. So after I rented those things, I was going back and forth between the bookstore and my computer trying to figure out what was up with this book for my lab class, and I spent like an hour trying to figure out. When I was like, okay, I need to leave and go to class now, I had about 10 minutes to get to class, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a campus. It's gonna take me like 2 seconds to get to the next building. And I thought my building was health sciences because I'm taking anatomy and physiology. It was really in the science building, but I thought they said health science. I went all the way to the health science because the health science building is really for like students who are doing nursing, and they're kind of like separate from the rest of the campus. So they were like way over here on the, you have to like walk. Pretty much they tell you to drive to it because it's like way over elsewhere. And so I'm carrying like all these books, my book bag, my lunch, my sweater, and I'm like trying to scurry over to the health science building, and I realize, wait, is this the right building? I'm like, no, it's the science building, not not the health science building. So as I'm walking back to the campus, I see someone and I ask them, hey, do you know where the science building is? And they're like, oh, it's in the tech center. So I go to the tech center, which is, by the way, the same building that my statistics class is in. Go in there, it's room 218. I go upstairs to the 2nd floor. I'm looking around, I get to 217 and there's no 218. I'm like, am I in the right building? Am I tripping? So I asked somebody, hey, do you know what room 18 is? They're like, there is no room 18 in this building. I'm like, okay, well, I need to go to the science center. Isn't this the science center? She's like, oh no, they moved that to the new building. It's called Volata or something. I don't know, some new building that we have in our campus. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, oh, I'm late. I hate being late to class, especially on the first day. Just period. Just being late to class just puts a damper on the day of your class. So it was already 6:10 and I thought I was 10 minutes late. I'm rushing to this building, I'm sweating, and I run into the lecture class, and there's a teacher in there. She's lecturing and I'm like, hi, sorry, I'm late. I'm here for anatomy and physiology. She's like, and she kind of acted like she had no idea what class she was teaching. She's like, I'm teaching bio 10 blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, because my anatomy and physiology is considered a bio class. So when you apply to the class, it's called a bio class. But she like mouthed off the whole number, like bio 102 dash blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't know what like number this class is. I just know this is anatomy and physiology. And she's like, oh, well, this is bio something something. And I'm like, does she not know what she's teaching? Like, what the hell? And so I just sit down, and then I'm sitting there and I'm looking at what she's like showing, and I'm like, this isn't anatomy and physiology. And so I'm like, wait, is this anatomy and physiology? Like, no. And then somebody else was like, no, this is biology something something. And I'm like, oh. So I'm like confused looking at my book and I noticed that my name isn't even on the roster, and I'm like, wait, am I in the wrong class? I realized my class doesn't start till 6:30. So I was like, seriously? So I walk out the class and I notice there's students sitting on the floor in front of the door, and they're like, are you here for the anatomy class? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, it doesn't start till 6:30. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm early and I thought I was late, and I'm over here like sweating to get to class thinking I'm late. So it ended up working out. My teacher's really nice. He's a cardiologist and a neurologist. I think he's really nice, but he's just like most doctors, like very confident, and he wants you to think he's hard on you. It's like the vibe I get from him is that he wants you to think that he's hard on you. I'm pretty sure he is, but he wants you to make sure you know he's gonna be hard on you so that you'll do the work. That's kind of the vibe I get from him, which is fine because I'm gonna do the work. But based off what I gathered from class, he tries to come off as like, not an asshole, but yeah, an asshole, but he's not an asshole. He seems super nice, but he wants you to he wants you to take the class seriously, because he says at the beginning anatomy and physiology is like super difficult, which I agree with, because while we were talking a lot of the body parts, and because I've been studying a lot of the body parts for the last month or so or more, I'm very familiar with a lot of the body parts already. But when he started talking about cells and cell division and biology stuff I learned 10 years ago, I was like, wait, I haven't gotten to that yet. Like, I don't remember cells that well. So wait a second, hold up. I have to go back and do some research on that. But other than that, he went over the slides. I recorded the lecture, and yeah, I think it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna just make sure I do the homework, make sure I study. I guess my only thing is reading and being able to study everything. Luckily, what I was worried about was I was afraid that the classes were gonna be like, okay, you learn chapters 1 and 2 and you get it tested. You learn chapters 3 and 4, you get tested. Learn chapters 5 and 6 and you get tested. And at the end of the semester, you have to do a test on chapters 1 through 6, like all the chapters. It's not like that. You basically, like I said, do chapter 1 through 2, get tested. Chapter 3 through 4, get tested. Chapter 5 through 6, get tested. And then the final is getting tested on chapter 7 through 8. You don't have to do the whole, like basically every exam is based off your final grade, which I feel it's easier because it's in like increments versus at the end of the semester, you don't have to like recap everything you learned throughout the whole semester. So I'm actually glad it's like that. So all the classes are pretty much like that. So I'm grateful for that. So yeah, so today is Friday, and I did my nutrition homework, which was to read chapter 1. I'm supposed to read chapter 2, but I didn't realize how long the chapter was. That one chapter is like 30 pages long, and so I was like, wait, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna read chapters 1 through 2, and then I'm like looking at the numbers of the book, and I'm like, 60 pages? I'm not trying to read 60 pages, like, oh my god, because on average, I read about 5 pages in 1 hour. So I was like, yeah, no. Well, no, well, depends on the type of book, but my medical assistant book is about 5 pages in 1 hour, but it's a lot more, the type is a lot smaller, so it's a little different. But long story short, just today I read chapter 1 and I put in my notebook or my my planner to read chapter 2 next week because I'm gonna have time. So yeah, and then tomorrow I'm gonna do my statistics homework. So my statistics homework is to read chapters 1 through 2, and it's to we have these projects where we have to do like, I guess like statistical studies, and we have they're called projects, and you have to do them like I think every 2 to 3 weeks or something like that. So I'm gonna start mine now and just try to figure. I should have asked a question, I forgot to ask. If the project if he wants the project to be done like on a poster or like a paper, or how he wants the format of the project. But I'm gonna just look over it and get an idea of what I want to do the project on. And obviously I see him next Tuesday. I have my math class twice a week, so I have a math class for an hour and a half twice a week, and then I have my other classes once a week for 3 hours. So yeah, that's it. I feel like this video is long as hell as usual. Yeah, it's long as hell. So that's pretty much it for this week. This week was pretty exciting. A lot was going on this week. And yeah, next week I'm gonna continue to do phlebotomy and continue to take my classes. So yeah, I will update you guys next week on new things that I'm learning and new things that I'm doing. And yeah, okay, so I forgot to add, I have pretty much everything on my laptop. I just want to show you guys, for those who aren't doing this path, how to stay organized. So I created a folder. You probably can't see it. Yeah, you probably can't see it. But basically it says fall 2019. And in the folders, I have folders that are the classes I'm taking. So I have anatomy, physiology, nutrition, and statistics in caps. So when I open my anatomy and physiology folder, I have 2 more folders. One says lab and one says lecture. So if I open lab, inserted my syllabus and my schedule, so I know if I need to know what's going on next week, I can go straight to that. My lecture so far, I have my course outline and my syllabus, and then I have another folder called PowerPoints, and I have all the PowerPoints that I was been given so far written here, so that I can go over them and study them as needed. Go back and go into my nutrition folder. I have my syllabus and I have the slides that she's provided so far, so I can look at them as needed. My statistics folder, I have my syllabus, and then I have my mini projects discussing what the teacher wants as far as those mini projects that I just talked about goes for. So this allows you to stay organized, so that if you need to find information about the class or what's next, you can kind of like navigate through that. You can always print out your syllabuses, or syllabi, which might be easier for you, especially if you're using a binder. But I like to have both. I like to have things on my computer and have things in hand, so that I can just have both to be prepared. If you're doing online books, what I find is helpful is that when you log into your books, I will save a bookmark. So I would add a bookmark, and then I would name it nutrition book, anatomy and physiology book, and then that way, so that if I need to find my book quickly, I could just click bookmarks, which opens up on the side panel. Click it, it takes me right to the site. If I had to log in, I can log in, and the book's right there. I don't have to like look in an email or find where my access code is. I don't have to do any of that because it's already in my bookmarks. And then all my like codes, or like if I do need to save my passwords, I save them in a note. So this just allows you to stay organized, so that you're not scurrying around looking for things, wasting time. So yeah, just a quick tip, and that's it. I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching, and